As the holidays are fast approaching, we're all looking for gifts to get our families, and with the popularity of video games on the rise, I'm here to guide you on which PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games are best for kids, ranging from around 4 to 12, but not limited to, as anyone can enjoy these games. This video guide is here for someone who is not too familiar with gaming, but who wants to impress your child and mind with a great game, also keeping them away from violence and graphic situations. As I have younger children, and I can reflect and use my experience as a gamer and a parent to guide you for this holiday season. If you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing. Also, sharing this video can help others find great gifts for their holiday season as well. First on our list, LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. All 9 main Star Wars movies are brought together into one game. The player starts off with the first entry in each trilogy, such as The Phantom Menace, A New Hope, or The Force Awakens. After the first movie in each trilogy is beaten, the next movie in that trilogy is unlocked. This gives the player a sense of achievement. With loads of vehicles and planets that can be explored throughout different movie settings, gives the player a lot of different things to go do and see. And with over 400 playable characters, it shows the detail that developers put into this game. The player is tasked with solving light puzzle sections, including collecting Legos and building various objects to complete jobs before moving on to the next stage. With dialogue that never takes itself too seriously, LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga hits that funny bone just right with jokes throughout the game. The inclusion of multiplayer LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga can be played in co-op mode, or 2-player, where a friend can join and split-screen action can be enjoyed. So you don't have to worry about your kids arguing over whose turn it is next when they can both just play at the same time. With an average playthrough time of about 18 to 20 hours, LEGO Star Wars would be a great pickup for any PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 owner. Coming in next is SpongeBob SquarePants: Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. This is the remake of the 2003 release of SpongeBob SquarePants: Battle for Bikini Bottom. As this is a simple, straightforward 3D platformer any young gamer can pick up and play without much issue. The game gives great audio directions with written cues. What I mean by that is the game will voice what you need to do, and at the same time closed captionings will come up at the bottom. So if reading is a challenge, your child should have no issue, and the game will hold their hand as they start off so they can learn what to do. And whenever a new challenge approaches or a puzzle, the game does the same thing again, where it will voice through a character, whether it's Patrick, they will voice what needs to happen at the same time closed captioning underneath will appear. The player is tasked with collecting different colored flowers and golden spatulas throughout the world while defeating an army of robots. SpongeBob SquarePants: Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated is your classic collectathon, meaning the whole point of the game is to collect different items, such as the flowers and the golden spatulas I had just spoke of. Light puzzles sprinkled within a charming gameplay, this game was clearly made for kids. With most of the original voice actors returning in the roles, this feels like a really long episode of SpongeBob from back in the 90s when I was a kid. It feels like it brings me back, and I get the nostalgia feels real hard, and it still leaves that silly appeal. SpongeBob SquarePants: Battle for Bikini Bottom includes a 4-player multiplayer mode to be shared with others on the couch, so it's not the same thing through the story. The story mode is only single player, but there's another mode where up to 4 players can play at the same time. The game on average is beaten within 8.5 hours for the story mode, but if you want to find everything, find every little piece to 100% this game, it'll take you closer to 14 hours. So there's a lot of value within this game. It's typically a cheaper game, but it's a really good fun game. And if you have a PS4 or PS5, this is a good game to pick up. Alright, up next, Minecraft. Minecraft is a game that okay, I don't get the appeal of Minecraft, so I'm gonna bring in an expert to explain why the game, like what the game is and why the kids love it so much. So here's my buddy Salts.
I mean, it's a great game for kids because there's like no gore, violence. So like if you're like a parent that's into that, like you don't want your kids playing like super violent games, then I mean, this is it. I mean, like, yeah, you can kill animals and stuff for food, but you can also farm for like potatoes, carrots, like that, and you'll get food that way. The premise of the game, generally, like when you make a world, you spawn into a massive world that you have to explore and survive, and that's the premise of like the survival mode. The purpose behind survival is obviously to just survive as long as you can without dying. You can die and respawn, but you'll respawn where you slept last, where your bed is. If you don't have a bed, then you'll respawn at the default world spawn, which could mean that you'll be really far away from where you died at. The purpose behind the game, in survival at least, is to get to the end. You have to like find a stronghold with an end portal in it and travel to the end and defeat the end dragon, using all of the stuff that you've acquired throughout playing the game up until then. There's three different dimensions in the game. There's the overworld, which is the world you spawn into initially, the nether, and then the end dimension. And you're gonna need to go to at least all three of those in order to defeat the end dragon. And then there's a bunch of different types of like enemies or mobs, they call them in the game, that you can face, like skeletons, spiders, big giant spiders, zombies and stuff like that you have to fight. And then there's a creative mode. Another mode other than survival would be creative, and you can basically spawn into a map the same way, or into a world the same way you would in survival, except you have like pretty much god mode, and you can acquire any material you want to build with just by using the creator menu. So instead of having to go out and find it, you can just have it right there, and then you can build houses, cities. Like, people have made portraits, like pixel portraits in this game. There's a crazy amount of hours you put into it, but it's a really good game. But yeah, I mean, generally it's just a really fun game to kill time, kind of explore like the creative side of yourself instead of just, brainlessly shutting off your head. And there's a lot to it. There's literally so much to this game. It's crazy. I've been playing it for years and I still don't know everything about it, but yeah, it's a fun game.
Perfect. All right, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Our newest game on our list, released November 8th, 2022. It's Sonic Frontiers. This game just released, and our Blue Blur returns with the latest release, giving Sonic another try at the 3D open world. In the past, Sonic didn't do so good with the open world. If you look at Sonic 2006, that's a joke. Do not buy your kids that game. But you can buy them Sonic Frontiers. With only 2 difficulty settings, it can be a little bit more demanding for your younger players, so a good age range would be to start them around 8 years old. This game doesn't hold your hand as much as the previous games that I already spoke of. Sonic finds himself needing to save the world by completing puzzles, playing minigames, and blazing through fast-paced set pieces. With the cartoonish art style, Sonic Frontiers handles fighting sections with a fun, childlike way. Sonic's enemies are once again robots, as Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman, is their leader. The player has 4 main islands to explore to collect different items needed to progress in the story, that on average will take about 12 to 15 hours to finish, and 30 to 50 hours to fully 100% complete. Finding every little piece take about 30 to 50 hours. Sonic Frontiers does not have any multiplayer mode, so sharing can be an issue if we have 2 or 3 kids for this game, but hopefully they can learn to take turns. And Sonic Frontiers would be a solid gift for a slightly older child on a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. Okay, last on our list is Spyro Reignited Trilogy. It's a collection of the first 3 Spyro games in the series, to include Spyro the Dragon, first released in '98, Ripto's Rage, that first released in '99, and The Year of the Dragon, which released in 2000. All 3 games fantastic in one collection with a great value which is hard to beat. All 3 games have been remastered from the ground up. Spyro Reignited Trilogy has a classic collectathon gameplay as the player searches around the map finding jewels, treasure chests, and other dragons that need to be rescued. Each level is fairly easy to navigate, allowing the player to find their way throughout with relative ease. Some younger players may get stuck from time to time, but that's not a reason not to pick this game up and not to challenge your child. The game gives great audio directions with written cues, much like with SpongeBob, right, as I spoke about that before. Same thing here. Spyro Reignited Trilogy checks all the boxes as a gift with a fun gameplay that can be challenging at times. The goofy voice lines are always good for a laugh, and the playtime is around 17 hours for the story and up to 32 hours for the completionist, giving plenty of value. Spyro Reignited Trilogy does not have any official PlayStation 5 release, but if you have the PlayStation 4 disc, the PlayStation 5 is backwards compatible with that copy. So, if you only have a PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 4 copy is going to work no problem. I hope you found this video informative, and if I left any games off the list that you think are worthy, please share in the comments below. Thanks for watching and take care.